Day. Today we are talking about the children's rights, and I believe in one way or another you have come across people who have violated rights of the children, and therefore yesterday we were in the streets trying to talk to people about what they understand about the violating the rights of children. But surprisingly, you could find that there are many people who don't understand the rights of children. And therefore today we are here to help you to understand the rights of every child in this country and in this universe. Welcome to today's program, and we are asking you one question: where are children's rights mostly violated? Where are children's rights mostly violated? Talk to us via 23814. That is our SMS number. 23814 is our SMS number. Again, you can also text via the WhatsApp number 0721 105 and 105, and telling us where do you feel rights of children are mostly violated. Our text number is 23814, or WhatsApp text number 0721 105 and 105. And today in studio we have a guest who is the Nakuru County Children Coordinator, Madam Alice Wanyonyi, who is together with us to be able to help us to check on this matter in a greater depth. As usual, I have my colleague Mangicho Mola in the studio to be able to coordinate the program this morning. Mangicho.
Absolutely, Kagi. A very good morning, and it's good to see you.
Right.
And of course, just as you said, is yet another very, very important and very critical discussion that we want to delve into as far as our program is concerned. I know last week we were not together. We were doing some live coverage on the alternative justice systems from Kabarak University. And actually, it's also a very, very pertinent area as far as the legal Tuesday program is concerned. But today we are going to look into this particular matter. Children are very important in the society. They play a very, very integral part, of course, in our society, and we want to find out what is it that affects them, what are some of the issues that maybe bedevil them, and what is it that we can do as a society to ensure that their rights are safeguarded, that they can actually be granted the well-being that they are actually supposed to have. So we are looking forward for a very, very captivating, and I believe our guest will actually shed some light on the issues pertaining to children. Yes,
and I know in a short while we'll be presenting the feeder presentation about the children on the AJS conference. Maybe in a nutshell, before we go there, Mangicho.
Yes.
Today you can be my guest and tell us what transpired at AJS, and maybe for the sake of what we want to present in a short while about the presentation by FIDA on AJS, would you briefly interpret to us what is the AJS?
Yes, that's absolutely on point, Kagi, because it is important. Actually, it's a movement. They say AJS is a movement that has actually hit the road very, very strongly, and I think we are happy because it's actually like all stakeholders in the society are for this very, very important movement called the AJS. AJS stands for Alternative Justice Systems, Kagi.
Yes.
Just as we have mentioned it, and naturally we are used to what we've been calling the traditional way of actually solving some of our disputes in the society, and that basically involves going to court. That is what you'll ask so many people, and they will tell you, once maybe I've seen something that has been done to me that is in violation of my rights, or maybe someone somewhere has committed a crime. We know that the very, very traditional way is basically to go to the court. But now when you're having what we call the alternative justice systems, this is where we are saying that we can also have some other means. We can also have some other methods that we can use. We don't necessarily have to take everything to court.
Right.
We don't necessarily have to take everything to the magistrate or to the judge. We can actually have our disputes resolved back there at home. And it's something that Kagi is very, very important. And by the way, at this time around, Kagi, last week we saw even the church itself in Nakuru coming out very strongly to support this particular initiative. We actually had the launching of what we call the House of Reconciliation that actually took place at Imani Mall right here in Nakuru. And this is where Kagi now, people who have maybe quite a number of disputes, instead of going to court, they can go there to Imani Mall at the House of Reconciliation, and they can have their issues, they can have their wrangles being resolved amicably. And this will definitely even enhance the coexistence among families, among society, and so on and so forth. So that is what Kagi is happening. I believe in the future we'll also maybe have someone also to talk about it. And even our guest, because she was also in Kabarak, she'll also tell us about how children can actually come in as far as AJS is concerned.
Very well. And we want to thank the Nakuru Church Fraternity for its very aggressive effort to make sure that AJS is a success. And you know, Mangicho, the church has been doing AJS job behind the scene, whereby people run to church when they want their disputes solved. And therefore, when we see the church coming out strongly to support the AJS, especially in this region, we feel very much encouraged. And before we are given that presentation by FIDA on the AJS makeup, let us first of all introduce our guest, Madam Alice Wanyonyi. Welcome to the Legal Tuesday.
Hello.
Karibu sana. It's good to have you today.
Thank you, thank you. Hello, viewers.
Yes, Karibu sana. I know when you are here, the rights of children are well protected.
Yes, we strive to.
And I know that you are very passionate on ensuring that the rights of children are respected.
Indeed, indeed.
And therefore today we shall be digging deep on the same matter. And also after this presentation, we'll be hearing from you on your position, especially the County Children Coordinator's Office, on your presentation on the AJS.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
At this juncture, we want to watch this presentation, short clip on the FIDA presentation on the alternative justice system.
Okay, well, thank you so much, my colleague Paul Kage, back there in the studio. And just as we have said, today we want to have a conversation and also a talk with one of the officials at FIDA. We want to find out, maybe even for the sake of our viewers, what we mean when we talk about FIDA, what is the importance of FIDA, and even looking at the annual, or actually the Alternative Justice System Conference that was taking place at Kabarak University. What was their contribution? How did they participate in this particular conference? And so many other things are related to this. We're going to get this on from an interview that we're going to have with one of the officials from FIDA. I want to bring her to you so that she can introduce herself and also tell us and also tell you as our viewer what FIDA stands for and so many other details that you may also want to find from them. So karibu sana to MBCI TV in this particular program, in this particular show. Kindly, even as we begin, you can have a minute to introduce yourself and also tell us, and even for the purposes of our viewer, to be in a position to understand what FIDA is all about. Karibu.
Thank you so much. My name is Tracy Lichuma. I'm a legal counsel at FIDA Kenya. FIDA Kenya, we are a women's rights organization where we undertake and deal with promoting women and girls' rights. This includes access to justice. So we enable and ensure that the women and girls who come to our offices are able to access justice from all over the country. Yes.
Yes. Help us to get maybe some background maybe of how maybe you've been dealing with and maybe looking at some of these rights that you are saying that you are so much interested, you're so much concerned as far as women and maybe even girls are concerned. What have been the main issues that have been affecting this group?
I think the main challenge that we could talk about is the lack of access to justice. Most women that we deal with are indigent, so they're not able to they don't have the money to be able to take these matters that they have to court. So that is where we come in, because FIDA offers a free service. So any woman who comes to the organization is able to get free legal service and representation for their matters in court. This could be children matters, land matters, succession matters. Basically those are the cases we deal with. For how we participate in the conference, we work with elders all over the countries. We have 3 offices in Nairobi, Mombasa, and Kisumu. So we have elders from all over, and through those elders, they are able to reach at the they're able to help us at the community level. This is by trying to solve matters at the community level before they proceed to court, because as we all know, not all matters need to be in court. So they help us at the community level for the women to access justice at that level. Yeah.
So tracing back and looking maybe at how it has been for you using the traditional the traditional approach, whereby we know that maybe cases are taken to the court, maybe to the judges, to the magistrates, vis-a-vis now the alternative justice system. If you can first of all pick the traditional way of maybe taking these particular issues to the court, to the magistrates, to the judges, maybe how has it been like for you, the challenges, and now how you see maybe this particular approach of the AJS actually coming maybe even to enhance your obligations?
Okay, thank you. You see, the court is a straight line, but for alternative justice system, we sort of a curve. So we try and resolve the matters in that level. So I think majorly what the challenge would be is the conflict between the cultures and the cultures, because some cultures they prefer their matters to be resolved in that way, but it contravenes with the actual law. So I think that would be the major problem, the conflicting of the laws and the cultures in themselves. I think that would be a challenge. Yeah.
Moving now forward, even as you look at maybe the deliberations that have been from this particular conference on the AJS, and specifically now from FIDE's perspective, what are some maybe of the issues, some of the measures that you think should now be put forward to reinforce maybe some of the duties that you have?
I think the major one would be, first of all, would be to congratulate the new budget allocation, because from the budget we have something called ukumbi suits have been allocated a budget, and majorly this is where the elders normally sit in the corridors of justice to be able to hear to these cases. So I think that is among the plus signs, and I think as an institution, I think basically giving the elders the information and they need and what they need to deliberate these matters at the community level is what as an institution we are proud about, and we are hoping that every delegate and all the elders that came here are able to take that learning back to the rural, and they are able to use this information to resolve the matters that come to them at the community level. Yes.
Thank you. And this is very important when it comes to the issues of women.
Yes.
Do you think as a society, as a country, what are some of the strides that we've made in terms of actually respecting some of these women's rights that you are talking about, that maybe initially or maybe in the previous years, in the yesteryears, they used to be very much violated?
The first one, of course, would be in the political aspect. We've seen more women take up positions in parliament. We've seen women be elected as governors, and taking up positions in government and other institutions.
There is something else that maybe you also have a word to talk about when you talk about maybe the issue of FGM. Do you think maybe some of these cases are they still maybe being brought to your organization, or maybe they are on the decline in the country?
So just to answer your previous question, other rights that we have seen women getting violated would be, yes, FGM. We have in this last half year, we've had like 2 cases of women who have come to the organization with FGM cases, and we've been able to take it up. I think it's not as bad as it was before, but it's still a challenge that is still ongoing. And I think with the laws put in place, we are hoping for a better situation with the same, and we hope that the government and the prosecution are able to take these matters up, that when we report them, they're able to handle these cases and with the seriousness that it deserves. Yeah.
Thank you so much. What would be your last word, even as we come to the conclusion?
This conference is timely. It helps us as practitioners and as institutions be part of a noble cause to help reduce the backlog in court, because the alternative justice systems are important and are needed in every society to help address the community level and to also help the judges and magistrates deal with the backlog that they face.
Thank you so much. Your names again?
My name is Tracy Lichuma.
Thank you so much, Jessie Lichuma from FIDA, as you can see, Federation of Women Lawyers in Kenya, giving us her perspectives on how FIDA has actually been performing in terms of ensuring that women's rights are actually put into consideration and they're actually safeguarded. They have been part and parcel of this particular conference and also getting the perspectives on how they think alternative justice systems will enable them to actually reinforce their duties and their obligations in the society. Thank you so much.
Right, well done, my colleague Mangichomola, for that insightful presentation there at Kabarak University, whereby the conference for the IJS was happening. And of course, when you hear about the rights of women, I feel that they are conjoined with the rights of children. Where women are, children are. And where children are, women are. And therefore, thank you for that presentation. And I believe that through that FIDA makeup, we understand better about their roles and also how to be able to seek justice through their office. And also, I feel we need to talk about it again, Mangicho, because when she has talked about the issue of the law versus culture, I've really picked that one, whereby they want to exercise their roles in their office, and the culture is a very huge hindrance. I want to shift it to our officer in the studio. Again, when you look at the issue of the culture and the rights of children, because she has talked about culture and women, and also I believe even culture and children is also another challenge. How do you meander the issue of culture and the law? Yes.
Thank you.
You can also say something about what she has just spoken.
Thank you. As I introduced, my name is Alice Wanyonyi. I work for the Directorate of Children's Services as the County Children Coordinator here in Nakuru. So first I want to appreciate the MBCI team for always according us your precious airtime to talk about children issues. I remember I was here, I think in February, just before we celebrated the Safer Internet Day. But now turning to your question of AJS and children and culture, what we do practice is that all that we do must be in the best interest of the child. Like whatever I'm doing, is it contributing to a great extent to the welfare of this child?
Right.
If it's not, then I'm doing the wrong thing. And then number two, whatever we do, it has to be within the confines of the law. So that if there is that bit of conflict between culture and law, we look at the law because that is the latest on the block. So yes, we have some cultural norms and practices that are contrary to the law. For instance, in my own community, all children belong to their fathers. That is the bukusu.
Yes.
So you find even a newborn, a lady will be told, no, that child belongs to this home and do not move that child away from this home. That is culture.
Yes.
But legally, the law says every under 10-year-old child has to be with the mother for obvious reasons. Yes. So normally we go with the law more than the cultural aspect. Because remember, we are not working within our cultures.
Yes.
I'm very far away from home. So I cannot bring my cultural orientation where I am.
Right.
No, it is the law that has occasioned me to be where I am. So I follow what the law dictates.
Yeah,
yes.
Beautiful. And I understand that you had also visited the AJS conference. Away from your presentation, maybe what is your take on the AJS versus the rights of children? Because many people would like to go the AJS way when they mess around with children.
AJS, alternative justice system approach, is a good thing.
Yeah.
But it's good to the adults. Because remember, these are people who can present their issues. Children cannot. They have to be represented by somebody else.
Right.
For instance, even when we are going for, let's start from where the report is being made at the police station. That child will not have that statement recorded until either there is a parent or a children's officer or both.
Yes.
And even when they are going to court to testify, there is a legal representative given to this child by the court. So the government has to pay this person to stand in for the child.
Okay.
So there is another person standing with the child always. So they cannot express themselves. They cannot hold an adult to account. They cannot.
Yeah.
They cannot enter into any contract. So we call them the vulnerable, the most vulnerable of the society. So children may not benefit much from AJS because remember, in the recent past, we have been saying we don't want kangaroo courts. And those kangaroo courts actually are just a replica of, because that is the community level of handling issues.
The kangaroo courts.
Yeah, so if we take our children's cases, imagine a defiled child having her case being discussed at that community level. Yet the child is suffering. Nobody has even taken this child to hospital, but they are discussing how the other family now, the perpetrator's family, can pay for damage. Yet the child is suffering somewhere.
Yes.
So we are saying because of the pain inflicted on this child, we don't want any discussion around that. Let this person just go in because he punished this child. That is a lifelong punishment.
Yes.
Let him also suffer something similar to that. Yes.
Okay.
In terms of looking at it, because Madam Alice, I know one of the things, the issues that were also being brought during the conference is even maybe how AJS can also maybe even be used even to prevent some of these atrocities that are actually being perpetrated in the society, within our communities and within our homes. How do you see this system actually maybe being used or actually being utilized to ensure that we minimize some of these violations that are committed against children?
Yes, the law has been with us since, in fact, even before independence. So in just 2010, we repealed the old law. Now we have a new one. We have had the Children's Act, in fact, like three different acts. Previously, we had the Children and Young Persons Act, that was Cap 141. That was repealed in the year 2001. So we got the Children's Act 2001. And in 2022, that one was also repealed, and now we have the Children's Act 2022. So yes, we have the law with us, but the adherence to the law is the main challenge. So as much as we are going to AJS way, we are saying that some cases may not actually benefit from AJS, this defilement that I'm talking about, but something like maintenance, child support, that one can go to AJS. Yeah, so the parties will actually discuss their issues and then they'll be able to reach some solution on how the two of them can cooperate and support their child, but not defilement. Even children who are in conflict with the law, those who have caused harm, they have stolen, they have damaged other people's property, those ones can go to AJS because of the issue of compensation.
Okay.
Yes, the parent may be compelled to pay the complainant and the case ends there. But now, this one of defilement, we are saying no, it shouldn't go the AJS way. But these other cases can go there, they can be discussed. But here what we do practice in Nakuru is that if there is a referral to AJS, that session will not begin until there is a children's officer on the panel. Because the children's officer is to talk about the issues of this child. Yes. But the other people who are there can discuss the other issues.
Okay.
But until there's a children's officer, that discussion may not take off. It may even be postponed to another date, just to allow an officer to be present. Yes.
Okay. So I think we can close on the issue of AGS. Mangicho, maybe something to add, or we can close at that point.
No, that is very much okay.
Now, I think the last time that you were here, we talked deeply about the rights of children. And one thing, even last time I really asked about, is how far are we in terms of advocating the public on the rights of children, and maybe according to the data that you have in your office, are we heading somewhere, or you're still drawing back towards respecting and fighting for the rights of children? Where are we right now?
Thank you. As we speak now, I remember in the last financial year, the one that ended in June 2023, our statistics, according to the Child Protection Information System, Nakuru County had recorded a total of 9,900 cases. And they are varied.
9,000 cases.
9,000 plus cases. But most of them are on neglect, where parents are feuding. You find a case where a parent has come to report, yes, I'm married, I have 3 children. My husband is working, but he doesn't send anything for the support of the children. What do I do? So we summon the other party also to come and give us his side of the story. Now, you find in some case, the man says, yes, these are my children. But for as long as they are living with this lady, I'll not send them anything. So then what happens? So you see, he has issues with the lady,
yes.
And now because of those issues, even the children have to suffer.
So they are roping in the children.
Yes, so he's punishing the lady, yes, but now together with his own children.
And the children are innocent.
And the children don't know what is it they are feeling about. They don't know.
Yes.
So you find the children are suffering just because the parents disagreed. So that is an issue. And then you also have cases where children are being pushed.
And just before that, so when you say children have been neglected, yes, so that is in terms of them being provided with?
That is in terms of them not being provided with their basic needs.
Yes.
Like food, medical care, clothing.
And you are saying that every child has a right to food? Every
child has a right. You know, those are rights that you cannot remove from somebody.
Yes.
Yes. We are born with them.
They are inherent.
They are inherent in us. Yes. You deny me food, the child will die.
Yes.
Yes. You deny a child food, the child will die. Yes. So those are inherent rights. Then you have rights related to development.
Yeah.
That is now the bit about education.
Okay.
So somebody will tell you, let her take this child to a public school. But remember, he's the one who enrolled this child in a private school. So who am I now to say that now you can remove this child and take to the public school because the two of you cannot agree, and therefore none of you wants to pay that school fees. When you were enrolling, I was not there. So I will still insist the child goes back there. Remember, this child has friends in that school,
yes, in
that environment. So some parents just want, because of their own issues, they rope in the children, and the children suffer more. Sasa fahali fa wawili wakipigana.
Nyasi inaumia.
So that is now called development right.
Yes, that is education. The development right. Education per se. And then you have
so when you're talking about education as a right, you're saying that parents, in this particular case, are we talking about the two parents, that is the father and the mother?
Yes.
They are mandated to ensure.
If they are alive,
yes,
it is regardless of what the other parent is doing, it is 50-50.
Oh.
Yes.
We hope that there are some mathematics must be done.
No, the law now says it's on a 50-50 basis.
Yes.
Whether the two are married or not. As long as they have a child.
As long as they have a child.
As long as they have a child together.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I think that one was also used by to victimize some men.
Of course, previously that was the issue, and the law actually provided for that.
Yes.
But now it has actually brought in the issue of whether these two are married or not. As long as they have a child, it is 50-50.
Okay.
So previously it was like, but the man is working, why can't he just take up the full responsibility? Now it is not about somebody working.
Yeah.
No.
I think we're going to dig deeper on that. And also, when we come back, we take a short break just to understand. You can also reveal to us whether also we have some men who come to your offices to claim of some negligence from who? From women.
And also men are complaining that maybe they have been denied the right to see their children.
Yes. Yeah. All right. That is just a shot of what we are planning for you today. And we are saying if you have a question, you can text 23814. If you have any question regarding to the rights of children, our SMS number are quite open. SMS 23814 and then WhatsApp 0721 105 105. And then we are asking you, where do you feel the rights of children are mostly violated? This is the Legal Tuesday. We have Madam Alice Wanyonyi, who is the Nakuru County Children Coordinator. My colleague Mangi Chomola. I'm Paul Kagi. Don't go too far. We're taking a short break. We'll be right back after this.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Nipatie spelling ya neno orthopedic. Orthopedic inaanza na O. Orthopedic inaanza na O. Daktari wa meno anaitwa dentist, si ndio? Na daktari wa macho ataitwa nani?
Dentist. Anaitwa dentist. Tunaenda kwa macho. Okay. Electrician.
Unataka kumwambia mwisho wa gari ni hapa. Utamwambia je kwa kizungu?
The head of the car is here.
What?
The head of the car is here.
Hiyo labda ukuja jana.
Kata pua?
Kata hewa. Kata pua ukate hewa.
Wale wali. Sema mara 3 mbio mbio.
Wale. Wali. Imenishinda.
Jipatie ploti ya 50 by 100 katika mandhari mazuri na ya kuvutia V1 Estate kwa shilingi 1649. Ploti hii inapatikana mkabala na Simba Cement, dakika 5 tu kutoka kwenye barabara kuu ya Nakuru Eldoret. Ploti hii ni mwafaka kwa kuishi. Kuna maji ya borehole na stima katika kila ploti. Ploti hizi zinaweza kufikiwa kwa urahisi kwani ziko karibu na barabara ya tarmac. Nunua sasa na upate miti iliyokomaa katika kila ploti. Tuma jina Nakuru kwa 21404 au tupigie 0758707050 au tutembelee jijini Nakuru Tower 1 Building. Haiso Properties, a culture of trust.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Right, and welcome back to Legal Tuesday. And we're talking about the sharings and everything. Before we take...
you see, those are mechanisms that are actually meant to cushion this child from unnecessary suffering.
Yeah.
So once the child is declared free for adoption, then we shall go out to look for parents. There are people out there who actually want children, but the Lord has not blessed them with children yet. So they tell me, madam, nipe tu ya msichana. Yes.
Okay.
And what does the how does the law look at this particular issue, Madam Alice, when you're looking at a child's rights in relation to maybe the psychological torture that maybe they can come across, or maybe that can be meted on them, especially when there is that conflict that sometimes even get into violence from the parent?
Yeah, there are children who have actually experienced.
How can they be secured from this?
Yes, there are children who have experienced violence within their homes, with their own parents. And it is very difficult, to remove that experience from this child. But normally we engage in a lot of counseling, we talk to these children, and at the end of the day we advise that we don't take the child back to that environment. Because then we shall be doing 0-1. You remove a child, counsel. When the child is about to come out of whatever happened, we take him back there. So we say, because we want to avoid this vicious cycle, we remove that child from that environment, keep him in a place of safety for some time, as we talk to the parents. If they cannot resolve their issues, the next person is there a relative who is more stable and who can take care of this child in the meantime.
Yeah.
So if we do find a relative on either side of the parents, then we give out the child to foster. It's called foster care.
Foster care.
So 1 year, as we are observing what is happening. If it does not work in the first year, we try the second, up to the third year. So from the third year, then the parents must just make their issues known.
Okay.
If they are not going to stay together, let it be known they will not stay together. So, where do we take the child? So they tell us, you can give the child to the mother. Me, I don't think I want to even see that face. So you don't want to see the face of the mother, but for the child, you'll have to see it. Because as much as the custody will rest with the mother, you have access.
Yes.
So as a father, you have access. And what will make you qualify for that access? Si miti inakunywa maji ya Mungu, you have to make your contribution. Alafu shule ikifunga, tunakwambia okay, can now stay with this child for a week or 2. Yes, that is
well
access.
coordinated.
Yes, we have handled so many cases of that. Now, the issue of cruelty or custody still.
So actually, and there on custody, you've mentioned that a child at 10 years is actually allowed to make a judgment.
10 years they have a right to the opinion.
Of the opinion.
Yes.
But what happens when maybe now there is there is more information, there is more knowledge that maybe one of the parties, maybe it could be the mother, maybe it could be the father, is in a situation or is in a position to actually maybe inflict danger upon the child?
We shall not allow the child to interact with the father.
Okay.
The court actually can make orders, they're called restriction orders, that the father, because of his violent nature, will not be allowed to interact with this child alone, the two of them. So they can only interact in an open place or under the supervision of a children's officer.
Or sometimes they do that.
Yes.
Children officers, they go and accompany children with their fathers. It's very interesting.
You're going to take your child for chips? There's a children's officer hovering around the bar. So I've handled cases where, like here in Nakuru, there was a case that came to me where a mother had gotten married to this young man and they moved to the US.
Yeah.
So they got this child while in the US. And then after 3 years, of course, this child had a passport. So the mother, within those 3 years, the mother had differed with the father. And so she chose to bring the child home to her parents. So on reaching here, she knew the passport had expired. So she left the child and the passport here. But this is not a Kenyan document. So the father, on learning that the child had been brought to Kenya, he also flew to Kenya to come and see his child. So when he arrived, he told me, Madam, my child is here and I actually just want to see her. A 3-year-old, already in school. So I gave him permission, I gave him a letter. He went to the mother-in-law. He was given the access, the first weekend, second weekend. But now the issue is, for this child to go back to the US, they have to renew the passport. And they have to renew it jointly. So that means they must talk. So remember, the child is here, they are in the US, the two of them. And I told them, if you don't act fast, I'll take both of you to court. You cannot have your child and then bring her to a third party and then you disappear to the US. So who is responsible for this child? The grandmother. Yes. So the law allows me to move the court because of the welfare of this child. Yes.
Okay. There is an issue of the many cases that, of course, the office receives is from women complaining against men regarding to children violations and rights. Do you receive some cases where men come to complain about women or their wives?
Yes, I've had several. In fact, one was complaining about his 2 children, and the lady had moved on to another man's home. And so one of the girls was in high school, and so he was wondering, how come my daughter, as old as she is, almost 16 years, can just move swiftly to somebody else's home without making any noise? And they even changed the school for this girl, but he tried and actually found out where the girl was. He went, visited, and paid the school fees. But on closing day, the lady, the girl now, never visited the dad. So he was wondering, how come I can trace where she is, pay the school fees, and she cannot dare come to visit me, the dad? Meanwhile, he went and got hold of the younger girl, 5 years. So he's here, he's staying with the younger girl, but the elder one is with the mother in her new marriage.
Okay.
Yeah, so we get all those cases.
Yeah. And sometimes whereby women just leave their homes and go.
Yes.
And leave some little children.
Yeah, sometimes the women just get annoyed and wanakwambia watoto ni wako, and they leave. Yeah. So the men will come complaining, but how can she leave even a 1-year-old who is supposed to be breastfeeding? Sure. Yeah. Hata basi akuja achukue tu mdogo, she can leave me with the rest.
Okay.
I think those who can wash themselves and go to school, hiyo ni rahisi kidogo.
All right. Yes. I want us to go to the streets and hear what the public is saying regarding to what they know about the rights of children, and therefore have a look at this. Don't go too far.
Paul and Mangicho, we are in the streets once more again, and we want to understand if citizens know the rights of children. Remember, there are quite a number of rights that under the Constitution that children are accorded, one of them being good shelter, good education, and also being able not to undergo hard labor, among many other rights and fundamental freedoms that children of this country are desired to have. So we are here to know if our children are enjoying the privileges that come with those fundamental freedom and rights. And we are here in Baringo County to know if citizens here do understand the rights and fundamental freedoms of our children.
Mingi sana wamama wamejiweka sana kwa pombe, wanasahau watoto na vitu mingi tu, hawataki kujua watoto wanakaa aje, vitu kaa hiyo. Wanajua lakini wanapuuza, wengi wanajua lakini wanapuuza, ni kupuuza, wanapuuza, lakini wanajua inafaa watoto, wanajua vile watoto inafaa wachungwe, lakini wanapuuza.
Elimu, kuna wazazi wengine wanawachilia watoto yani watembee, lakini si kwa sababu ya makosa yao ama nini, ni kwa sababu ya wengine kutochiweza. Sasa wanawachilia watoto waranderande, wanatumia watoto kwa biashara. Wanatumia watoto kwa kibiashara, yani ili watafutia hawa. Wanatumia maybe sana hapa mtaa yetu ya Ravina hapa. Wengine wanatumia watoto kuokota hizi nini, makaratasi hizi, scraps, ili waweze kuchikimu kimaisha. Lakini si makosa yao, ni hali ya uchumi venye iko saa hizi.
Sana watoto wengi wamethulumiwa. Unaweza kuta wazazi ni walevi, so wanaamuka asubuhi, maybe wanaenda katika hali ya pombe. Sasa unapata watoto hawapati chakula, hawapati mafasi, so utakuta watoto hata kwenda shule ni vigumu. Sasa wanaenda huko mitaani kuchokora pipa, yani kuombaomba chakula. Hata wengine wameingia katika hali ya kukua wezi. So ingine ni ile hali ya wasasi wengine hawako responsible na mambo na watoto wao, wasichana, tuseme kama ni wasichana ama ni vijana. Na unakuta watoto wengi wanajiingisha katika maybe drugs ama pombe ama uwizi, na wasasi hawajui hiyo jambo. So unakuta kwamba watoto baadaye wanakundua kwamba watoto wameingia katika hali ya drugs ama katika hali ya ulevi. So ingine pia ni wale watoto kudhulumiwa kama wasichana. Unakuta wanapatiwa mimba ya mapema wakiwa shule. Sasa unapata hao watoto wanaacha shule. So wakiacha shule, haya wanapata mimba, alafu unapata wale walio wapea mimba hawashughulikii hiyo hao watoto. So unapata sasa mtoto ana drop out of school, amepata mimba ya mapema. So at least hakuna hatua inafanyika. So unapata wengi hiyo kitu inaendelea na hakuna hatua ambayo serikali inachukua. Sana sana pia kuna wale wanakosa karo. Wanamaliza class 8, wanakosa karo na unapata tu wako mchini. So hawa wakiwa bado ni watoto wadogo, utapata kwamba wanaanza kujiingisha na kasi ya mapema. Wengine wanaanza kufanya tu hii kasi kama uwisi. Sasa unakuta wamekuwa wezi. So ningeomba tu mimi serikali kama wangeweza kufuatilia sana. Juu ni watoto wanaonekana. Hata tukiwa hapa sokoni utawaona tu wakitembea humu mitaani ama huku wakiokota hata matunda yenye yameosa na nini, na unaona ni watoto wadogo. So mimi ningesema tu kwamba haki ya watoto nisione kama imetendeka.
Sawa, you're set. So you'll tell us your name and you'll tell us what are some of the rights, especially kids' rights, where are these rights being violated and what causes this kind of violations to happen.
My name is Chepkemois Kante in Baringo County. The rights that are being violated most, for example, the first one is education. You find nowadays it comes from home actually, where the parents lack finances and funds to fund their children in school. And it starts from home, where a parent has a job, who doesn't have employment to fund those, to get the resources, or doesn't have any income to have the resources to fund their kids to school. Another one is basic needs like clothing. You find some kids wearing tattered clothes because some of the parents neglect their kids. Like, you see your child don't have clothes, but that responsibility, responsibility starts within you. So that responsibility some parents doesn't take to be their responsibility to provide clothing to their children. And mind you, clothes are very cheap nowadays. You can get second-hand clothes at a very cheap price. You provide for your kids. Another one is health, to do with health. You find some kids actually they get sick, and that comes from the parents, because when you see your child, it's a priority and it's a responsibility of every parent to provide for their children, to take them to the hospital when they are sick, to provide for them also food, because some of the parents neglect. Like, for example, you find our parents provide their children with food 1 meal a day, and as per the basic rights of a child to have food, you should provide at least 3 meals per day, but they give them 1 meal. So at this course of the day, where will the child get those food? They have to go and get them in the streets, in their neighbors, of which those are some of the rights that I know that are being violated.
Mahali mimi naona haki za watoto zinakeukwa sana ni nyumbani. Unaweza kuta mzazi amezaa mtoto lakini hachukui hiyo jukumu ya kumlea mtoto. Unaweza kuta mzazi amezaa mtoto, akifikisha kama miaka 5 anamwachilia mtoto, anaweza kufanya kibarua alafu anatafuta chakula ndio ajirishe mwenyewe. Lakini kama mzazi angechukua hiyo jukumu, angekuwa anashughulikia mtoto, ndio ashughulikia mtoto kwa malezi na masomo. Haki zingine mimi naona mzazi anakosa kuchukua jukumu, hata afundishe mtoto yake mambo ya dini ndio akuwe na tabia mzuri. Sasa mimi naonelea vizuri, ingekuwa vizuri mzazi achukue hiyo jukumu, afundishe mtoto namna ya kuishi na namna ya kumlea vizuri. Na pia mpe mashauri vizuri.
Kuna ile makosa shule and school fees. Kuna zile zingine wanaolewa hata mapema na wasasi hawachukui hiyo jukumu kuwafuata hiyo maneno, kwa sababu serikali angelifuatia watoto wachungwe vizuri kwa njia mzuri. Unaona hata saa hii mimi napeleka hii vitu ni kwa sababu ya mtoto ile asome mzuri, kesho kuja anisaidie, na ili nisaidie alafu kesho anisaidie. Kwa hivyo serikali anataka ifuate kabisa kwa makini, wafuate kwa machiefs, kwa wazee wa mitaa na serikali jumla kama DCTO wafuate jukumu hiyo.
All right. Mangicho, umesikia maneno?
Yeah, Kenyans are speaking, and apparently
Yes.
they've actually identified quite a number of areas where they think maybe there still needs some more work to be done
Right.
to ensure that children's rights are actually safeguarded. I think maybe even one that has touched me is that parents actually even know that there are those kids maybe that actually don't get basic right food. Being actually, I think the most basic.
Yeah.
Some of them can actually even just have one meal.
One meal per day. The issue of the labor to the underage is also very prominent here. And there are some parents who are forcing their children just to go away and look for their own life as much as they have the energy to do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Madam Alice you think about what Kenyans are saying.
No, what they are saying is true. It is what is happening within their localities, even here in town. So you find a 4-year-old, 5-year-old is in town, amekaa na mama yake wanaomba pamoja. So jukumu ya kutafuta chakula ni ya nani? Si ni ya mzazi. But when a parent now wants to abdicate that responsibility, si sheria ichukue tu mkondo wake.
Is this reason that maybe some of these parents or some people can actually give, is it valid when maybe you find someone saying, but it is because the economic situation is hard, is harsh, therefore I cannot be in a position to fend for my kids? Does it stand?
That reason you cannot stand, because you are here in this household with your children. Of course there is urban poverty, but there's a way people are surviving. So how are those other people surviving from your own area?
Okay.
Yes, so just go out and look for something to do so as to bring home something for the children. Yes.
Wow, very
And I have heard that some of them, especially I think all the situations depends with the demographics of certain community, because if you could hear some two people there, they were very categorical on the issue of drunkenness. It is affecting the rights of children.
Yes.
Have you ever handled such cases?
So the parent is drunk 24/7. So even just the basic supervision of this child is lacking in that home. So if the parent can actually go to a den at 7 in the morning, that is the very time this child is supposed to be prepared to go to school. So who is going to ensure that this child is going to school? So the issue of drunkenness is actually affecting the welfare of the children. And you see, as we are not enforcing that kind of law, as we are looking at the issue of the children. So whether you are drunk or not, that is no reason not to take your child to school. Yes.
Okay. There was another issue of the early pregnancies.
Yes.
But something cropped in my mind when they were making their own comments there. Whether sometimes your office, you follow up on those people who make our young girls pregnant.
Responsible.
Yes, to make them responsible for that.
Yes, we are actually very serious on that, particularly that one.
And this is one of the areas that is normally solved by the kangaroo court.
Yes, and we are saying we are not going that kangaroo way. We are saying you make that kind of mistake, you will carry the cross. So that is why there is a lot of noise that there are so many young men in prison.
Okay.
Most of those young men were accused of such offenses. Yes. So you find the girl, yes, is expectant or has even given birth, and then the parents will want to talk. And recently there was a case that was referred to AJS, where now the girl has for the last 9 years, since the incident happened, she moved to her boyfriend's home. While the man is in prison, the lady is in their home. So she's being taken care of.
By the parents?
By the parents of the young man. She was taken back to school up to college level.
The young man is in prison?
The young man is in prison.
The husband?
Yes. So the child has since grown. The child is now 9 years. So then the lady now is the one who came to court to say, I want to withdraw that case. You see now, this is now an adult.
Yeah.
So it was referred to AJS and it was resolved.
Wow.
So the man maybe, and you see he had been given life sentence because of that incident.
Life sentence?
Yes.
Is that serious?
Hey, below the age of, is it 11 years? According to the Sexual Offences Act, you're going for life. Below the age of 15 is 20 years. Between 16, 17 up to 18, that is 15 years. So depending on the age of the girl at that time, he was given a life sentence. So he has already served 9 years after sentencing. So before then, we don't know how many years he was in the remand. But now the lady has come up, she's now an adult, she can make her own decision, she has decided, I want to withdraw that case. She was the main complainant, obviously.
And on this particular matter?
I think so. That's why it was referred to AJS. And the two parties actually came, the parents to the lady said, wametusaidia hata sana.
On this particular matter, Madam Alice, because of course we are known to having cases lagging in court, taking a lot of time, and some people actually even lament that they don't see justice actually to be done. When it comes to those kind of matters, sexual offenses against some of these children, are these cases expedited?
Of course, it also goes with the diary of the court. So as much as we may want them to end, at some point we are even arguing that when this person, the perpetrator, is coming for plea, we should be able to produce the girl so that she can give her statement on that very day, at that time when the plea is being taken. If he says, I didn't commit this offense, then we can start the hearing, and the girl should be in court. But then the court argued and said they have a lot of other things to do. Then they're also looking at the rights of the perpetrator. He has to get a lawyer or something. So we said, okay, but as much as we are giving him, because he has a right to be represented. But now looking at this girl, this delay will cause even this girl to forget the whole story. And you see, when she's just trying to forget, and then we now ask her to come to court, not once, not twice. In a year, maybe she's coming to court 3-4 times and nothing is moving. It actually causes some people to even give up. Because just delayed is justice denied.
True.
So some people imagine, this delaying tactic is actually just causing me to give up. So watch I can. Yeah, but you see now we shall not have served justice to this guy.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, maybe Kagi, we can look at, because your theme for this year is education for all, and you're saying time is now. Draws the picture in Nakuru County of the statistics in terms of maybe of the children who are not yet in a position maybe to access this basic education, or maybe what is the percentage?
Okay, that one would actually best be given to us by the Ministry of Education.
Okay.
And partly by the Ministry of Interior. But from our end, we have a program where we pay school fees for the high schoolers, especially those who are in boarding schools. And for this financial year, this one that began on the 1st of July, we have paid fees for 553 students who are in boarding high schools. So those students don't have to be...
Now that is fees paid by the county?
Not county, national government,
national
through
government.
the Directorate of Children's Services.
Okay.
So this program is sponsored by PEPFAR. It's a presidential secondary school bursary. So that money is meant to cushion the orphans and vulnerable children. So they have to apply and then attach some documents like the school report form, the death certificate of the parent or parents, and if it's a Form 1, the admission letter. And then the chief has also to append his signature and say, yes, this girl or this boy is needy and should be assisted.
There is a program for the most needy.
The most needy. You know, if you give me 2 orphans, I'll also look at beyond now them being orphans. Who else is behind them? Maybe one has an uncle who is working, the uncle can pay, so I drop off that one. And then I go for this one who stays with a 90-year-old woman or a grandmother, because I know the 90-year-old cannot go out to work. So I'll pay for this one. And you remember, both of them are orphans.
Yes.
But the circumstances may differ. So we go in for the most vulnerable. Yes, they're orphans, but beyond that, what else?
Okay. Yes. Just to remind you that you are watching the Legal Tuesday. Today we are talking about the rights of children with Alice Wanyonyi, who is the Nakuru County Children Coordinator. If you have a question regarding to the rights of children, you are free to do that. Our SMS number 23814 or our WhatsApp number 0721105105. Before we continue, at this juncture we have what we call the landmark ruling. And Mangicho, our landmark ruling today is a little bit deeper, whereby there was a ruling by East African Court of Justice, whereby it ruled against our Supreme Court ruled against the powers of the East African Court of Justice. And of course, you know, there are many people whose cases were finalized at the Supreme Court, and they felt
they wanted to go higher.
They wanted to go higher.
Look for a place that they considered higher.
Yes.
The Supreme Court.
Supreme Court. So when you come from Supreme Court, where do you go? The East African Court of Justice. And therefore, we have the likes of Mike Sonko, they have been there. Mother Karua has been there.
Even Ahmed
Nasir have been there. And the Supreme Court ruled there is no way that any other court which was created under the what we call the agreements within the member states can overrule their mandate. So today we're looking at that in our landmark ruling, and therefore have a look at this.
Just maybe Kagi, what I'm thinking, my own feeling is that I agree with the ruling of the Supreme Court, because especially looking at it from the perspective that this is also a court that we put as a country following the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution, thereby giving it the very, very mandate of being the final arbiter in matters regarding us. One way of, I was thinking that now when we have maybe a case taken maybe outside the country, would actually maybe in one or another undermine.
Some of them had a basic education law.
Yeah, in Tanzania.
In Tanzania.
Sure.
Something that is coming up here.
Exactly. I think that is something that really needs to be looked into. Maybe they had very, very great infrastructure back then.
Yeah. And maybe before we close the program with our legal terminology there at the tail end, maybe we can come back to
Madam Alice.
Yes.
And actually, even as you make your winding remarks, Madam Alice, so what are we expecting on Friday, even as you're marking this particular day? What are some of the activities and how do you envisage this particular day, even to now enhance the theme of education for our children?
Okay, first I want to welcome all the viewers to our this year's celebration of the Day of the African Child. For Nakuru East, Nakuru West, Njoro, Bahati, Subukia, we are going to congregate at Kiboen Komen Primary School within Nakuru West. And we shall start with a procession, then end up with speeches and entertainment. There will even be lunch for children and all the adults. So normally we use this day to just talk about children's rights and what the community can do to uphold and respect those rights. So the message to the community is that children are our future. And you cannot be so secure about your future if you cannot take care of your children. Because they are the only guarantee that you have tomorrow. So we normally use that platform to urge the parents to take up their responsibility over the care and protection of their children. Yes, so come expecting to hear a lot of good things. And we also use the same platform to urge the community to report in case of any child abuse cases.
And of course, it is a global activity.
It is it's an international day that we are celebrating, and it actually didn't start here in Kenya.
Yeah.
It began way back in 1976 in South Africa, where students were protesting against them in their own schools, but learning using Afrikaans language, which they didn't understand. So they were saying, we want a language that we can actually relate with. So they took to the streets. Many of them were killed, many of them were maimed. But from 1976 now, those are adults. Some are very old now.
Yes.
Yes, so, but we use this day to commemorate those children who sacrificed their education and their lives for the sake of people learning in peace, in a language they understand, in a language that relates to their own culture.
And so what you're saying is that it's the responsibility of the entire society.
It is the
Every person has a
society.
responsibility to ensure that the child that they are seeing,
Yes.
to ensure that their rights are safeguarded.
Yes, remember we grew up, in the past, for us, we grew up as community children. We would be beaten by any passerby, and we would never go complaining.
That has changed.
That has since changed. Our children are now growing up with house helps and machines.
Yes.
So the children are not interacting as much with their own parents.
True.
So we are telling the parents, please create time for your children. They need to interact with you, they need to hear your voice, they need to know you. And you also need to know them. Yes.
In case one needs to maybe make some reports about maybe the violation of children's rights, where do they go?
You see something funny with a child, report either to your area chief or to the nearest police station, or call 116. 116 is toll free. Call from any mobile network.
116.
116. You'll be assisted, you'll be referred. Yes.
Okay.
So don't keep quiet when you see something. Tunasema ukinusa, ukiona, ukisikia. Sema. Spot it, stop it. Now stopping it, you must talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. And maybe, because I can see we have around 6 minutes, I know you have been doing a lot in fighting for children for the next 4 minutes. How do you see the current society, and where should they be careful not to brush the wrong shoulders with the law regarding to children's rights?
Yes. Thank you for that question. Hakuna kitu kibaya kama kuguza mtoto, especially for the young men. Tunaona unatembea na mkuki wako. Mkuki ukiguza tu ngozi ya mwanadamu inawacha alama, na ikiingia sana ni kifo, si ni kweli? So hiyo mkuki wewe uko nayo, so just know when to use your they are called arrows. Just know when to use your arrow, kwa sababu inaweza kukuua amekuacha na alama, na alama inamaanisha utaishi jela miaka yako yote. You will not contribute to the development of your own family, or you will be rotting somewhere else. Yes.
And we have some ladies who have this culture of closing the doors from outside, leaving their children inside. It's a very common culture. How should you want them?
Yes, hao wenye maybe wanafanya kazi yao usiku or something. Community intakana, wao majirani, tafadhali msinyamaze. Because huyo mtoto akikufa, hata wewe as a neighbor will be guilty. Tuambie.
Okay.
Yeye aishi maisha yake, lakini mtoto akuwe safe.
Okay. All right. Yes, I think we are coming close to the program. Mangicho, I think we can also look at our legal terminology today.
Yes.
And Madam Alice, we teach ourselves on some legal terms.
Yes.
And therefore, Mangicho is the expert in that area. Let's see what he has in store for us today.
Yes. Very hot from the from the court chambers. Yes, and of course we have our term for today on the legal terminology, and Kagi, our term for today will be defense counsel. Defense counsel, that is our legal terminology for today. And when you talk about a defense counsel, is a lawyer, the lawyer who represents the person accused of committing a criminal offense. So the defense counsel is responsible for giving advice to giving advice to and speaking for the accused. That is what we mean when we talk about a defense counsel. So this is a lawyer who represents the person accused of committing a criminal offense. The defense counsel, of course, being responsible for giving advice to and speaking for the accused, or in this particular case, for the person known as the defendant. That is what we mean when we talk about a defense counsel. And I know, Kagi, this is someone that in any or in most of the cases that we see in our courts and maybe in our legal, in our courts and in our during court litigations, we normally see them.
I've handled this matter for quite a number of programs, whereby it's advisable for any person who goes to take a claim in court that you have a defense counsel. But sometimes when you hear these terms, they scare you. And then some people fear because of the amount of money they go with.
Exactly. By the way, is there a way in which when you have maybe children's rights which have been violated, is there a way in which maybe they are helped to have legal support?
Yes, children actually are given lawyers by the court.
Okay.
They are called pro bono lawyers.
Pro bono lawyers. Pro bono.
So every child before court is assigned a lawyer. So that lawyer is paid by the government,
by the state,
the court. Yeah, but the child will not like sit there to speak for himself. The lawyer will do that on the child's behalf.
Okay.
Yes.
Every child.
Every child who actually is in conflict with the law will always be given a lawyer. But this one is just in contact with the law because he has come to give some testimony, or just sitting in court with the mother. That one does not need a representation.
What about a child who is an accused?
Yeah, that is the one who is in conflict with the law. Ameua, amechapa, ameiba, mwingine alishtakiwa na kutusi polisi. So akapewa lawyer pia.
Okay. Wow. Right, and we thank you for coming to our show today as we go to prepare for the African Child Day. We wish you all the best in your program.
Thank you, and we welcome you all viewers to join us as we commemorate this day. Come and listen to the speeches, come and also get entertained, and learn one or two things about child rights and child protection.
Thank you.
Karibuni sana. We are having different sites for the celebration. I said for the Nakuru East and the surrounding areas, we shall be meeting at Kiboen Komen Primary School within Nakuru West. Molo will be having their own celebration. Kuresoi South will be somewhere doing their own. Same to Gilgil and Naivasha. So you don't have to travel very far. Just ask where your sub-county is meeting and then you join them.
Thank you so much. And that is Alice Wanyonyi, who is the Nakuru County Children Coordinator. Thank you for following our Legal Tuesday for today. Until next week, God willing, the same time, the same station, Paul Kagi is my name. Enjoy your day ahead.
Absolutely. We appreciate your time to be with us in this program. We'll see you tomorrow for the Leadership Wednesday edition. Till then, enjoy the rest of your viewing. I am Mangicho Mwala.